So episode 17 ended with Zanka getting completely owned by Jabber, but we also saw Gita finding this strange thing inside. It then cuts straight back to Jabber, who looks extremely happy as he is jumping around while still dragging Zanka. And he thinks about how pleased Zodal will be with him, but just as he is at his happiest, he suddenly gets shot straight in his leg. We then see a gun and Jabber looking towards the person who shot him and asking them who they are. After that, we cut straight to Engine, who we can see heard the gun shut very clearly. He looks in that direction and says that this is bad. We then spot Fu, who is hiding behind something, as he also repeats over and over again about how bad this is. Fu looks to be sweating, as he thinks that by some chance it's already ending, thinking that he has to hurry, as otherwise he will be the last. We then cut straight to his eye, and we can see how worried he looks as he says that he has no idea how to start a fight, and he wonders just what he needs to do. He then calls out to Engine and calls him Mr., which surprises him. Anyway, Fu then surprisingly just casually introduces himself. Engine is a bit caught off guard, but then also introduces himself to Fu. Fu then tells Engine that he was ordered by Zodal to turn the cleaners into offerings. Engine is just listening, looking super shocked, as he can't believe that Fu is telling him that. But anyway, Zodal had ordered him to be the first to finish, but he quickly starts to wonder what would happen if he is the last. He then starts to almost jump in place as he asks Engine if, with that in mind, they should get to fighting, and straight up asks Engine if he could let Fu beat him up first. And I love how afraid and worried he looks as he asks that. Engine, funnily enough, thinks for a bit before giving Fu a huge smile and telling him that it's a no. After that, we get back to Rio, who in the fight against Noerdi, we can see Rio's hand shaking due to the electricity she probably has had to endure. Then as she looks back up, she can spot Noerda who's coming right towards her, and she looks super furious as she has electricity all around her. She then looks right towards Rio, and it really looks like she is going to kill her. Rio, however, is calm and analyzes her steps, and when she spots a pattern in her steps, she knows that she is about to attack. So she just at the last second manages to dodge the attack. But only being on the defense isn't going to help, and she knows that, which is why she dives right under her hair and puts her hand towards the ground, to then create some wind attack, which in turn makes Noerdi's hair blow away. Sadly, Noerda isn't too fazed by this, as she just takes out her comb and brushes her hair again, and then it's all back to normal. And Noerda asks Rio how long she thinks that it will last. But as she looks back up, she sees that Rio is nowhere to be seen. This makes her super mad, as all of her veins in her face pops, and she starts running frantically around. She screams towards Rio that she is really starting to annoy her, and says that she hates women like her. She continues her screaming as she demands for Rio to come out at once, telling her that she picked this path of fighting after all. She only gets louder and louder as she tells Rio that if she is a fighter, then she needs to come out and face her at once. However, we then see Rio, who gets a faint smile on herself, as she says that she guesses that she was right about her electric time, saying that it's a limited time thing after all, and then we see her coming behind Noerda, and actually manages to cut some of her hair, or that was only what it looked like, as Noerdi's hair actually kind of acted on its own in some sort of way. It looks like, as just as Rio was going to cut it, the hair swayed upwards, which leaves even Rio super surprised. She can't believe that Noerda somehow dodged her sneak attack. But Noerda then starts to shift her center of gravity and goes right in for the kill as she goes to kick Rio. But luckily she was able to protect herself with her scissors. But after that, she is still in the sky, and Noerda uses that to her advantage, and right away goes in for another attack as she sends a punch right towards Rio's stomach, which sends her legit flying. Noerda just laughs frantically as she starts walking over to Rio. She then smiles and tells her not to dare even think that she would let Rio cut her hair twice. Noerda says that she has gotten used to moving around with heels through Latin dance, which I guess is a fun fact. But anyway, she continues and says that her very feet and hair are connected via her nervous system. She then gives Rio the death stare and asks her how long she thinks she's had her hair for, telling Rio straight up not to underestimate her. Rio starts getting up on her feet and laughs while saying that this is... She admits that this is the first time she's seen anyone take pride in having long hair. Noerda looks annoyed by that, but admits that Rio was right before, and that there's a limited time for how long her hair can stay electrified. She starts brushing her hair and says that she can cancel it at any given time, and on top of that, she can use it continuously for around 1 to 2 minutes, casually saying that it's nothing crazy, which sounds wild as we are talking about electric hair, but sure. Rio sounds happy as Noerda said that, and says that she understands. She has a huge smile on herself, and says that she also took in the possibility of her hair being weak to wind, saying that she got really uneasy when the windmills weren't moving at all. Her vibe then completely changes as she looks fierce and thanks Noerda for her heads up. Noerda still has her playful and happy tone as she starts to laugh and says that Rio is super positive, but she then just out of nowhere appears right in front of Rio and says that she is the type of fighter that can cover up those weaknesses. We can even see that she created a whole storm around her due to her speed. Rio is a bit caught off guard understandably, but she still manages to flawless and perfectly dodge the blows that Noerde is sending her way. They continues for a good while as Rio is unable to get hit. Noerde even notes that her movements are impressive. After that, while Rio was getting punches thrown at her, she casually, in the heat of the fight, asked her what her past life was like. Noerde waits up for a moment and explains that she was a female from the village of the south, being in a warrior race called Cerelia. Rio then taunts her a bit as she first apologizes and says that she has never heard about it. Noerde then continues her ruthless barrage of attacks and tells Rio that of course she has never heard of it, as it was wiped out a long time ago, and as she says that, she actually gets in a pretty decent punch towards Rio. However, it looks like she blocked it with her scissors. Rio then lands back on the ground, and Noerde says that Rio herself seems to be moving in a weird way while carrying such a massive object. Rio looks towards her scissors before turning them back to normal and says that they're not heavy at all or anything like that, but if she is honest, then she finds it easier to fight alone, and she then puts her scissors into her pocket, and both of them go into these super cool fighting stances as they are getting ready to fight. Noerde, with a cold expression, looks at her and asks her what on earth she is, and Rio, with just as cold an expression, says that she is just Rio. We then get right into it pretty much as we see one of Noerde's elbows smashing right into the wall, and Rio just evades it as she jumps backwards. But Noerde isn't wasting a single second as she is right back into the fight. She punches, but Rio counters, and they then just stay like that for a moment, before Noerde tries to make one of her punches slip past Rio, but Rio dodges under, and after that, both of them throws a kick towards one of the other, and that looked so insanely cool. Both looks extremely mad, but Rio then leaps into action, as she manages to actually get in a punch right towards Noerde's face. Noerde looks pissed, and she manages to then right away give one punch back to Rio. Just then, as Rio slams into the ground, Noerde takes out her comb and brushes her hair before sending it right towards Rio, who together with her arms pushes herself high into the air and evades Noerde's hair attack. Then in the sky, Rio takes out her scissors right away and goes for the finisher on Noerde, who gets away from it. But it creates a lot of smoke, and when Noerde least expects it, Rio appears from the smoke and is heading right towards her, but as Rio gets one of her kicks to connect, Noerde gets one of her own to connect, and they then just goes like that back and forth until both of them have gotten some distance and are seen almost being unable to stand and is heavily breathing. Rio looks the most destroyed, but Noerde wipes her face and tells Rio that it seems like she wasn't a kitten after all, but that she is still within the boundaries of a cat. Rio, however, doesn't really pay any mind to her strangeness, and instead asks her if no one can hear them down here, no matter how much they scream. Noerde says that she is correct, and admits that it's pointless, as there's no more running away for any of them. Rio says that she understands, and she then starts to lightly smile as she thinks about how no one will hear them. Noerde closes her eyes and tells Rio not to worry, as once this is all over, all of Rio's friends would have already ended up as offerings, but just then, the unthinkable happens as a loud sound can be heard, and Noerde looks to be totally mind-blown as she slowly falls down to the ground. After that, we see Rio smiling with a scary facial expression, and she has a gun right in her hand. Noerde lies on the ground, and we can see her slowly bleeding out, and Rio goes towards her while still pointing her gun at her. Noerde is just in shock and asks her why she would have something like that. Rio then puts the gun right towards Noerde's face and tells her that Engine strictly banned killing people, so she's been trying her hardest not to kill, but Noerde was super strong, so she thought that she might as well use it, as after all, no one would ever hear them down here anyway. Noerde looks super pissed, but Rio says that she wants to get this over with quickly, and says that her friends need her help. It then looks like Rio shoots her in her leg, as she starts to bleed there as well. After that, while putting her gun right towards Noerde's face again, she explains that she got this gun from her previous line of work, almost like a parting gift. Noerde then genuinely looks terrified as she says that it's impossible before saying that Rio must be a hitman. After that, Rio gets uncomfortably close to Noerde and tells her that this will be their little secret, telling Noerde that she is very lucky that she joined Engine as a cleaner, as she gets to live now. However, she tells her that she's not able to move, but that help should be on its way, as after all, she could just ask Chthoni for help. Rio tells her that she is off to look for her friends now, and while looking super manic, she asks Noerde if she has any ideas where she is supposed to go. After that, I'm guessing that she tells her But Noerdi thinks that she always thought that the cleaners were a clean bunch, but that it seems like there is also black in the mix. Before leaving, Rio says that only the manhole kid and the boss of the group know about this place, saying that these pipes might lead to somewhere else though, and says that finding them is going to be a pain. Rio then thinks back to some of their memories together and thinks that Rudo doesn't even know how to drive yet. She continues and says that only if they had left Amo alone. After that, we get back to the Jabber and Zanka scene, where we see Rio shooting round after round towards Jabber. Jabber falls to the ground, but not even then does she stop, as she just shoots more and more, which, to be honest, I really respect. When she is done with her little fun, she spots Zanka on the ground and goes over to him. She asks him if he's alright, but he's silent. So she turns him around and sees him looking super roughed up, but even then, he's alive, which Rio is super thankful for. She notes that the toxin looks pretty bad and says that they should get out of here for now, and she then takes him with her and says that they should get back right away and get him healed. After that, we get to Rudo and Zodal, who are having a stare-off, but just then Chthoni appears from one of her manholes, and she goes right to Zodal and whispers something in his ear. Meanwhile, Rudo is just left with no choice but to be silent and look at them. Chthoni then goes back into her hole, and Zodal looks towards Rudo and says that it seems like the cleaners were a bit tougher than he had imagined. Rudo right away gets curious and asks him what he means and asks how they are doing. Zodal just completely ignores him and says that it's time to move now. After that, we see Chthoni appearing right under Rudo and starting to drag him down. She drops him down towards the ground, and Rudo looks absolutely pissed as he asks her what she is doing. Rudo then gets up and tells Zodal that he hasn't told him what this place is or even why he is here. Rudo gets super angry and tells Zodal that he will beat it out of him. Zodal just lands on the ground and asks Rudo if he will never shut up. He then starts walking towards Rudo and says that he has already asked him about joining forces and tells Rudo that he better stop talking trash and start using his brain to think on how to answer. Zodal's eyes looks furious as he asks Rudo if he is someone who can't do anything that he is told to, asking if it wouldn't be better for him if he showed him a picture book. Rudo then gets pissed as he starts to scream, saying that he understands him perfectly fine, but says that he hates people of Zodal's type. While that is going on, we see Gita hiding behind some pillars and looking super afraid. Zodal then continues his conversation and says that since Rudo won't listen to how he plans on going to heaven, he will simply show him. He then takes out Amo's shoes and puts them into this weird-looking egg in the middle. Rudo looks towards it in awe, and the egg slowly starts to absorb the shoes. Zodal then says that these are Watchmen series items, and that he was the one who made them. Everything from Rudo's gloves, his coat, and these shoes. Saying that compared to other Jinki, the Watchmen series Jinki have been in use for way longer, and that the energy they hold is unfathomable. He continues with his yapping and says that you would think the owners of these would have thought of similar strength, but he has not been able to make another piece of the Watchmen series ever since. But now with this experiment, he has managed to give birth to something completely new, saying that it looks similar to an aberrant beast but not quite the same. It feeds on other Jinki in order to move and is born from the depths, telling Rudo that those cleaners must have already seen it once. And Rudo then thinks back to that one weird trash beast he faced off against before. After that, Zodal honestly looks super scary as he says that they are taking off on this spotted beast, and we then see this huge trash beast starting to fly high into the sky.